Stop Now, a social experiment enterprise. Stop, listen, share. Everyone can make a difference. We are on a mission. Everyone should do something greater in their lifetime. Change the future. Be a proud member. Join us to support, volunteer, and donate.
Hello, welcome to Stop Now. I'm JK, your host for this week talk show, and we are joined by co-host Shiva. Hi Shiva.
Hi, JK. Hi, Josh.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for joining with us today.
My pleasure.
Uh, Josh, thank you so much. I don't want to misspell your name. Can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Well, I say Josh is Zeppes, but I'm not sure that's right. That's just how I pronounce it. So I can't guarantee it's the right way, though. So that's okay. Call me anything. I'm good. Identity archaeologist is basically how I take my genius and I apply it to a product or service to make it very unique, which is also what I do for my clients.
What made you to come up with this genius idea? How do you do this, and why do you do this?
Excellent question. So kind of like what you were just talking about in your intro about everyone's got a gift, everyone's got something they need to bring to the world. A couple years ago, I sat down with myself after being in entrepreneurship for several years. I kept trying to make money, and I said, "Wait a minute, time out, Josh. What if you just make a list of all the things you're really good at, your natural talents, your geniuses, your passions, all those things that you want to spend time doing? Make a list, and let's see if you can create a business around that list, as opposed to starting with the need in the marketplace and where people usually start. Oh, this makes money." I started with what I was good at, what I like doing. And I created, that's where Identity Archaeologist was born. I said, you know what? I'm really good at asking the right questions. I'm very good at crafting, taking complex ideas and crafting simple messages out of it. And I'm very good at persuasion. I'm very good at creating compelling first impressions and compelling messages. So what if I can help other solopreneurs do that? What if I can increase the ROI in every conversation they have? What if I can make them more effective? And that's how it was born. And that's what I do today. And it's the most natural thing in the world and also the most profitable thing I've ever done.
A life coach or a personal brand ambassador?
I help people to discover, bring it out of them, articulate, and then monetize their authentic personal brand. Now, does that have elements of coaching and elements of business coach, life coach, branding, marketing, sales? Yes. It's kind of got all of that combined. But at the end of the day, we create an authentic personal brand so that that solopreneur has got clarity around why they exist, around exactly what they do. And with that clarity comes confidence and conviction to share it with the world. And that's what helps bring in business. That's what makes them magnetically attractive.
We are doing a social experiment, and we call ourselves as a social enterprise. We are doing different experiment, and we are going to do some social good. So that is where, like, we identify ourselves as a in the non-profit spectrum. And for me, right, so just not to scare you, I'm wearing this mask and create an identity out of it, like saying that, like, this is my identity. And for various reasons, I want to have a take on that. So what do you think about it?
That reminds me of Anonymous uh, mask, almost like, so that's an interesting identity. It's, I think it could scare some people perhaps, but it definitely is something that garners attention. And I would rather you do what you're doing now, like do something to make people look twice than to become part of this, what I call the sea of sameness, where you just look like everyone else, sound like everyone else, feel like everyone else. So what you have there is unique. I'll give you that. It's unique. The question is it sending the message that you want to send? And that I don't know until I know what your intention is.
Exactly. To point it out, right? So we are uh, focusing on difficult issues like stopping
Mhm.
racism, stopping human trafficking, sex trafficking, domestic abuse. So all those are difficult issues to even talk about. So to address that, like voices of the victim. So you are right, it's an anonymous mask. As you said, like some people look into the intention of it. What is this mask? Why you are wearing this mask? They ask those questions. But some people, as you said, they are scared right out of it. Like when I join with this mask in a meetup groups, they immediately kick me out, saying that like he might be a troll or he might do something bad. So already there is a bad image has been created with the mask, right? So just like a mask joker and he is like a bad person, something like that. But this is a gay fox mask we attribute to the activism, which was a good thing in the 17th century. I don't know exactly, like gay fox is
Yeah.
the French revolutionist, if I'm not wrong. So we represent that as a voices of the victim who doesn't want to speak up or stand up against injustices, but they are scared and we don't want to disclose their identity. So that's why like we took this as a concept, but we are not still able to fully swallow ourselves, and we are trying to fight it out and see like how this is going to. So that's why like I asked
Yeah.
this question, like as an identity archaeologist, like from me, from my perspective, archaeology is like digging the grave kind of thing, right? It's a dead thing. Why do you like subscribe to that?
Yeah. So archaeologists, but what archaeologists do, they dig, but they're digging for treasure. They're not digging just dead things. They're finding the treasure in what's died. So maybe they're digging up a mummy. Maybe they're digging up an archaeological ruin that's got some gems. So I always imagine archaeology as there's something valuable beneath the surface. We need to go find it. And that's exactly what I do. For me, it's the person. I dig into the person. I find out that gem, that talent, that skill, and we bring that to the surface. We dust off all the crap, right? Because when you first dig something up, it's dirty. It's full of conditioning, it's full of garbage, it's full of all this crap that's been put on there, usually by society, by other people. Get rid of that stuff, and then we refine it. We polish it. We get it to the point where it shines so bright, it goes into a museum, or people see the brightness, they see it shining for miles away, and they come to watch it shine. So it's attractive. That's why I chose archaeology, because it really defines the process that I use, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. That's a good way to put it up. Like I'm thinking in terms of spirituality and in a positive mindset and mindfulness, all those things, like people are fancied by those things. In those spectrum, right? Why do we need to have this identity, right? Do we all have this identity crisis? Is that what you are referring? Like, why need to?
Yeah, we do. We have this block. We when we're born with a true identity. We're born with everything we need to succeed, and we get conditioned out of it, right? We get conditioned out of success. We get conditioned out of all those little traits that we have. We're born entrepreneurs. We're born with I've done this study before where I've taken all the traits of an entrepreneur, all the traits of a 2-year-old. They're identical. We're born knowing how to succeed in the natural world and the supernatural world, but we get trained out of it. So that's what I mean by all this crap that gets covered up. Our true identity, our true value, our true worth gets suppressed. It gets shamed into the shadows. So we've got to go and dig it back up. We're not allowed to be ourselves growing up. We're just not allowed to. Society doesn't let us. At least, and I'm talking in this country, I'm talking the US. Every country's a little different, but definitely in the US, being yourself is usually not allowed. We want to be fit into this cookie cutter system. Go to school, get your degrees, get the safe, secure job, put into your 401k. One day you get to retire and live the life of your dreams. The problem is every step of that is a freaking lie.
So you
We got to break it.
Attacking the American dream. Is that what?
Yeah, you could say that. The system's not there to help us succeed. The system's there to use us like human batteries. That's really what we are. We're just sources of energy for the system to thrive, but it's not really designed for us to bring our true value to the world.
So when we attack the system, right? So it's already, as you said, right? I agree on that part. Like the society doesn't allow the child to be, and it is being culturally or even social values wise, they impose so many things, and you yourself lose your identity. You don't know who you are and what you want. So you are trying to go deeper into it spiritually, like trying to find a meaning and purpose in your life. Is that fair enough of the assessment I'm making here? Or do you want
Yeah,
to differentiate, like, and let's get into the business part, like
yeah. Well, let's stick with this for just a little bit, because you're right. So there's two phases, or at least two phases. I mean, most people never ask the question, why am I here? Most people are so conditioned from an early age, they don't even question. They just do what they're told. They're called soldiers. And that's what I was for many years. I was just a soldier. Go to school, yes, sir. Get the safe, secure job, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Do this, do that. I didn't question a damn thing. And I just thought it was just all going to work out, that was just my place in life. So most people never even question. Now, every once in a while, a wake up call happens. You lose your job. Something big happens in life, and it kind of shakes you to the core. And you're like, wait a minute, maybe there's something more here that I don't realize. Maybe there's something. You start seeing, I call it seeing the code in the matrix. You start to see these glitches in the matrix, and you're like, this isn't right. Something, I don't know what's not right, but I know something's not right. That's another, that now you're starting to become aware. And then you start asking questions like, why am I here? Did I really do the right thing? What's the rest of my life mean? What's my legacy? What is my purpose? Why am I struggling so much? And you start asking these questions, and that's where you can start to find some answers. But in general, the system doesn't want you to do that, because when you find your own identity, that's power. And the last thing you want is a bunch of individuals with a lot of power. That's not how you build a system. System needs to have the power. The individuals need to just be obedient. They need to be sources of energy that feeds the system. That's how we're designed.
Yeah.
Or that's how the country's designed. So you don't want people having the power. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous, because then the things like you talked about go away. Then things like sex trafficking and racism and all these things go away, because people have that personal power to say, no, this ain't happening anymore. No, sorry, you're not going to take advantage of me. I won't allow it. I have the power to stop other people from doing that. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're in the stage where we need to help people find this identity, find their power, and bring it to the surface and put it to good use.
Another thing, like what the use of getting identity? If I get an identity, good identity or something, how to survey with the society? The society may be different from the what I am, and how can I survey?
Good question. So I want to make a very clear distinction. When I talk about identity, or I talk about branding, your brand, I don't believe you should create it. I don't believe it's something you need to create or come up. It's already in you. It's discovering it. So it's got to be authentic. This is the key to true power. If you have another mask on, which is the only the only challenge I see with borrowing another identity, is it's not truly yours. Maybe there's a version of it that you can create that makes it authentic. But in the end, if you stand in your authenticity, if you stand in your own truth, if you say, this is what I stand for, here's where I'm going, this is my mission, this is my vision, and you just put that period after it, and that's it, no matter what anyone else thinks, you will maximize your power, and no one can take that away from you. So the key is authenticity, being genuine. Don't create your identity, let it out. Allow it to come to this, find it and allow it to come to the surface. Stop suppressing it. Stop ignoring it.
stop now? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Different thought process that is happening, right? So whatever we do, right? So that is going to be the same what everyone has already done, right? So we are all the same, and we have been taught the same, and we think the same, as you said, like we are kind of robots and machines. What the society and the family ask us to do, we have been doing that. And when you find your true identity and you want to be different, that scares people, right? You kind of being a rebel, right? And I don't want to go into the extreme of like being like Jesus and getting on the cross, right? Being crucified.
Yeah,
So that is what rebels are faced in this society. Like to Shiva's point,
absolutely.
survival becomes tougher, right? When you try to rebel and try to be different, you just end up being a failure. Like they say like you are useless and you don't fit in, and you just try to be different and mess up every time. So
Well, okay, so remember, it's not about being different, it's about being honest. Now, if you being honest is that far different from society, then it takes courage. Then it takes courage to be honest. Honesty doesn't happen naturally. Sometimes we have to have the courage to be honest in the face of everyone else who doesn't see it the same way. So focus less on being different, focus more on being honest. And you can't go wrong. Now, you can shirk that honesty. You can hide it, like I said, you can suppress it and just follow the crowd, but you will be unhappy your entire life. You could do it and you can have an okay life, but you're never really going to find your power. You're never going to find that true happiness inside. And that's okay. That's your choice. I'm not here to convince anyone to step into their power. I'm here to allow those that want to the opportunity, the path to build that brand, to build that identity so that they can do it without shame, without being shy, and turn it into a business model, monetize it, right? It's okay. Bring that value to other people, bring it to the world and get paid for it.
just a quick thing, like apart from the identity archaeologist, like how you came to this idea and take that journey, what was Josh doing before? What are the other
Before,
things?
so yeah, I spent 20 years in corporate America as a very shy, negative, skeptical, introverted engineer, doing semiconductors, design, management, things like that. So I was following that path of no thought. And I saw the Matrix, or not the movie, but I started seeing the code in the Matrix. I got some wake up calls and I got out. I escaped, but I got into entrepreneurship to make money. And that was my big mistake. I got into the financial industry. I was in the gym industry, personal training, all kinds of stuff. But I was doing it to make money. And it wasn't truly who I was and what I was. So that's where I had to stop. That's where I did the timeout and said, all right, what do I do well? What do I need? Where should I really be spending my time and effort? And where's my value to the world? And I just kind of did a reset. That's what I did. But I've done all kinds of stuff, man. That's just I've failed more times than I've succeeded. Just so you know.
Yeah, failure is this stepping stone to the success, right? We all agree to it.
That's right.
Did some research on our guest, and it's quite fascinating. It's already in the public domain, nothing to hide from your side. So you already have another vision or mission kind of thing, right? A founder, freedom fighter, and creator of Broke is No Joke. So can you tell me about those things? Like, is that like what the steps you took to reach this level of identity?
Yeah, that was my initial when I left corporate America. That's kind of what I started. Broke is No Joke as a way to teach people how to escape the rat race. And it just didn't. It still wasn't really me. So that's where I still had to make this transition into identity archaeologist. But Broke is No Joke is still one of my brand names, and I'm still going to use it for something. I don't know what yet. I'm going to go back to it in the future. But yeah, freedom fighter, always trying to work with people's mindsets. But I decided to take it into business. I really want to see people thrive and succeed in business, because that's the most freeing thing. That's the most natural thing you can do, is entrepreneurship. It's like being a farmer, right? Farming is one of the most natural things you can do. But instead of your harvest being fruits and vegetables, your harvest could be money. Your harvest could be success. It could be impact on the world. So that's where my focus is now. And who knows, it might change in the future, right? It's a process.
Exactly.
And what are the different type of branding? Like,
What you're asking, like, what are the types of branding or what type of
yeah,
branding I do? Okay.
yeah, what are kind of branding, like a type of branding?
Okay, so yeah, branding. So at the very high level, branding is the feeling that other people get the moment you walk into a room. Branding is all about the feeling, and I think people miss that point. And it's not the same as marketing. Marketing is an amplifier. Marketing takes a message and makes it very loud, right? Through just making it louder, putting it in front of more eyeballs. But the message, that feeling that people get when they read your message, when they hear you speak, that's your brand. So if you don't have a good brand, the marketing doesn't work. So that's why I'm so passionate about branding. The kind I do that I enjoy doing the most is personal branding, meaning it's you. It's not some company over here. It's your personal brand that then gets applied to all your businesses. So imagine you're selling insurance, right? Insurance is a commodity. How many people sell insurance? Like everyone and their brother has someone in their family that probably sells insurance, right? So insurance is a commodity. But if you have a personal brand, you can take that and apply it to this boring, basic commodity called insurance, and you can create something unique. And you can make your business better. You can make your life better. It's very symbiotic. That's the kind of branding that I like to do. You know, there's other brandings, like you could do business branding, which takes a business by itself and brands it and makes it attractive to people. I don't prefer doing that. I like working with the person. I like starting with the person, because what's cool about when you do personal branding, you own that asset. It's yours. You take it everywhere you go. It's not something tied to a company. It's not like I own ABC Construction and that's got an awesome brand. But the moment I sell the company or the moment I get laid off from the company, I lose my identity. I lose the brand. It's not mine. It belongs to the company. I want people to have this. I want people to have their own asset. I want them to have their own brand, their asset, their ability to, no matter where they go, everyone knows what they stand for. Everyone knows their mission. Everything's in alignment. Everything's consistent. And they get to go and everything, it's almost like having the Midas touch. Everything they touch turns to gold because they've got a clear, compelling brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Josh, that apart, right? When you say about the businesses have different models, right? So franchisees comes into it, right? Where you don't have to scratch your head and start everything from the scratch and build a brand. It takes a long time. And even to make a profit in dollars, it's going to take like years. And why do you like have to struggle? People say like, okay, take a already existing brand, take a franchisee and do business and be successful. Yeah. So is that like an alternative you're saying, or is it like, how do you differentiate between business models and the non-profit spectrums?
Yeah. So what you say about franchise, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a business in a box. You buy it. It's not your brand though. So then that's okay. So you're borrowing a brand. That's what I call borrowing a brand. Maybe you're working for State Farm and you've got a State Farm agency. Okay. You're borrowing a brand. Just understand that when you borrow something, you don't own it. So the moment you sell that franchise, the moment you leave the franchise, the moment you get fired, if you're an employee, that brand's gone. Now you got to start over. That's the tough part. Because if you own the brand, if you were the brand, you never start over. You can go from Chick-fil-A to McDonald's to Burger King, but if you have this personal brand, you don't start over like you would have to if you didn't have that. So, I don't think it changes much in the nonprofit space. Again, in the nonprofit space, there's a lot more. I think nonprofits are better at evoking emotion. I think branding is even more important for nonprofit organizations than it is for just regular business, because you've got to tie into that emotion and get people excited about giving, excited about donating, excited about the mission. Whereas if you're selling cars, you're just going to have customers that just want a car, that just want transportation. And you don't, the branding isn't quite as important. It's important, but nonprofits have an extra, because your service is, your mission and what you do is a little more on the intangible side. There's a little more, I mean, it's tangible effect, but it's just a different connection. I think you have to make with people. You got to make a stronger connection with people than in the for-profit side.
Great. Josh, I just think of taking a deeper dive into it, but I have to be mindful of the time, and also like I don't want like to upset you with tough questions, right? I mean,
No, I love tough questions. Bring them. Come on. We haven't cracked the surface yet. This is just like we're just on the surface. It's cool.
As an archaeologist, you know better, right? We are digging deeper, right? So on the surface, like when we look at it, like any business or anything you want to do, right? But in the startup world itself, if you notice that, like even in the Silicon Valley, people try to bring in angel investors and fund their organization, build something, a smaller brand, and sell it off and be a millionaire and do something else in their life. So there are certain category of people who are doing that as well, right? So is it wrong, or what do you think? Like,
yeah, not wrong. I mean, it's called business, right? It look great. So you build something, you sell it off, you make money. Now, is that going to make you happy? Is that going to fulfill your life's purpose? Maybe, maybe not. Is it in alignment with your life purpose? I don't know. Everyone's different. But that's just business, and that's okay. What I try not to do is I try not to judge. If you want to go and sell timeshares to people who can't afford it, do I think that's ethical? Would I do that personally? No. But if that's how you're putting food on your table, and then you're taking 20% of your income and donating it to local charity, like, okay, look, that's your choice. I'm not here to make you feel bad about it. I'm just here if you want to make that change, if you want to get more in alignment with your true value to the world and why you exist and how do you monetize it. So I don't judge stuff like that. You go make money, go use the system, play within the rules, play the game. That's fine. Just know what you're doing, right? That's the key. Know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, where do we draw the line, right? I mean, I'm not here trying to bring in controversies, but then like some popular brands, right? Twitter and Facebook, they all end up in controversy as well, saying who is the actual founder, and people betray and do backstabbing. All those things happens. And in the corporate world, right? So everybody does something or the other and use the system, and they justify like nothing wrong. I just want to make money. So how do we draw the line there? Like what is right and what is wrong?
Yeah, that's a tougher one, right? What is right, what is wrong? I have a very simple rule for that. I think people know what's right, know what's wrong. I think it's only a matter of, do we admit it to ourselves or not? Because it's like the golden rule in a way, where would you like to have this done to you? If you have any reservations on XYZ happening to your mom or happening to you, if you think, I wouldn't want that to happen to me, then don't do it to someone else. I think, to me, that is the right, because I think we all have this big internal compass of ethics. We know what's right. We know what's wrong. It's just we ignore it. That's why people do bad things. That's why people do things just for money. We ignore that internal compass. So I don't believe that people don't know what they're doing. I just think we rationalize and we use excuses, and it's unfortunate. And when people go too far, we got to call them out.
How long it will take branding, like a year or 6 months, or what's the duration of making a brand?
Good, excellent question. So there's different phases to it. And it's funny because when I work with someone, I don't charge on time anyways. I just charge for deliverable. We create the brand or we don't. So the first level, which is brand manifesto, which is the initial set of assets, takes usually about 4 to 6 weeks is what it takes for me interviewing, digging up the information. We ideate together. I create the brand assets. It looks right. It sounds right. It feels right. bam, you got a manifesto. You got, this is it. This is my foundational document, my constitution. That's stage one. Stage two is the compelling first impression. How do I take what's in my manifesto? How do I articulate it out to the world in every means I have, whether it's marketing or social media or my website or a presentation I'm going to give? That's another 4 to 6 weeks. And then if I want to monetize it, now I want to create a signature service. That's usually another 4 to 6 weeks. So it could be anywhere from 3 months to 6 months to do the entire full thing, to do it right. And yeah, that's probably pretty average. So it's not too bad.
From your personal experience, right? Let's be honest on that. Like, you come up with your client and you do it, and you just do the assessment free for them, and you get to know that like it's a bad idea. And how honest are you going to tell them with the timeline? This is going to be a failure. Have you had that kind of experience?
So this is a good question. So let me tell you how this works out, because this has happened before. So remember, everything I start with is authenticity. I find the truth in the beginning. And then sometimes we find that the service that they're offering is not in alignment with the truth. But the cool part is they recognize it first. I wouldn't say first, but they recognize it themselves. They see, they're like, oh man, I don't think I want to do this insurance thing anymore. I think I need to teach kids how to read, or whatever it is. So they actually recognize for themselves that the service, the business they were running, is not the right business. And they're excited about changing it or transitioning. So whatever they're currently doing almost doesn't matter. Like, if it's not the right business, if I'm going to look at that business like, this ain't going to work, it doesn't even matter, because they're going to start building the right thing, the right service on the side. It's almost like the transition out of corporate America. I always tell people, keep your job. Don't quit your job and jump into entrepreneurship. Keep your job. Keep that money coming in. Keep that little bit of stability, which is not going to last, but for the moment, it's here. Build your business additional on the side. And then when time is right, make that transition. So it's actually cool. It's cool to see the light bulb go off on people and say, like, wow, I can't believe I was spending all this time doing this when I should have been doing that. And I'm like, hey, guess what? It's never too late. It's a good thing you found out now and not in 5 years. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start building the right thing. And then the wrong thing will fall away.
A tougher question here on that, right? So I agree to disagree on that, because you are saying that to ride on both the horses, right? How is that even possible, right? If I'm holding on to something, keeping a job, that itself is a stressful thing, and you hate it and you wanted to quit it. And with that mindset, how do I even spend time to building my business?
It's not easy. It's not easy. It definitely takes extra energy, extra work, extra commitment, but it's not forever. And usually when you're building the right business, it's almost like a hobby. It's like asking, well, okay, you're working a 9 to 5 corporate, but you find all this time to play tennis. How do you do it? And the answer is always the same. Well, I love tennis. I hate my job, but I love tennis. So I do my job because I have to. I play tennis because I love it. Same thing. I do my job because I have to, but I'm building this business here, my true signature service, because I love it. And all of a sudden we find the energy, we find the time. And for a while, it's a pain in the ass. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yes. So when you are passionate about it and you try to bring in your energy and you just use that extra time you have to make that value and build your own business, I agree to that part. But how many will have that energy, right? I mean, you just give up, right? Oh, it's too hard. Like, I need to survive. Let me keep my job, and I'm doing that. I hate it. Still, I want to do that. And I tried a couple of entrepreneur ventures, spent some extra times I had. I didn't spend time with my family. I focused on the business, but all those things are going wrong. So I just give up.
Yeah. And that's where it's important to make sure you're doing the right thing, that signature service, that thing that is in alignment with you, because that's your best shot. That's your best shot of finding that energy, of finding that extra time But yeah, is it easy? No. But you know what? We always have to look at both sides of the coin. I find people tend to they look at one side of the coin and they're like, "Oh, this is going to be so hard. You mean I gotta hold a job, and I have to work on my business, and I have to take care of my family, and I got to do." Okay, yeah, that's a shitty side of the coin. Fine, but what's the alternative? What's the other side of the coin? You stay at a job that you hate. You're underpaid. You're renting an income. You're renting a position. You're renting a title, and you're just going to keep doing that. What is the cost of that? What is the cost of getting laid off in 3 months and you have to go find another job that's going to treat you like crap? Like, so look, both of them suck, right? They say, life is hard, just choose your hard. I'm not going to tell someone what to do. I'm going to give them the choice. If they're like, you know what, I want the hard of not having a control over my future, and I'm okay with that, I'm willing to take the risk, stay at your job. God bless. Hopefully it works out. It won't, but write it as long as you can, and you suffer the consequences when things fall apart. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. It's your choice. So yeah, it's not for everyone, but it's for most people. I still find most people, when they truly understand the choice, will make the right choice for themselves.
Yeah, which is the easiest part, like to make a business branding or personal branding? If I need to make myself as a brand, is it easier than to make a business as a brand?
Good question. So to brand a business versus brand yourself. I mean, I don't know if one's easier or harder, but the process of doing it is exact opposite. The process is very
Yeah,
different.
one second. Sorry for like, if I am a designer, as a web designer or something, like I have a creative knowledge, I need to promote myself as a brand, or I need to make start a little small business and make a brand for the business, or I can make it myself. What is it?
I would recommend branding yourself, and then that could be applied to whatever business. Because again, it goes back to, if you brand the business, you can do that, but then the brand is the business. And what if you sell the business? What if you try to start another business? What if you like, oh, this business is going well, I want to branch off to over here too. Now you got to do another brand, and then another brand, and another brand. So you could do it that way. It's not wrong. But what if you had your own personal brand, and that just made every business you have better? You can just apply it to any business you want to do, and you're not stuck with just one business. That's the only reason I would say that personal brand. Plus, having a personal brand gives you clarity on what that business should look like. Because without the personal brand, now you're just starting a business to make money. And what if it's not the right business? You don't really know. Is it in alignment with what I truly believe and what I want to do? I don't know, it might. But starting with clarity with a personal brand, it helps you define the business better too.
Before we end this session, Josh, I just want to know, what is the process you suggest to your clients? I mean, if you have to do this to our nonprofit or our way of business, or for me, I was thinking for quite a while, right? JK as a brand with this identity and create the services out of it. So what is the steps, when the first time I meet you, what is the steps you do and how this process works?
Yeah, I've got a whole journey we go through of, I ask questions. I'm finding out I'm trying to find out the truth that sometimes you can't see in yourself. Because sometimes we're too close to ourselves to really see, and we're too much in our own minds, and we can't see the forest through the trees. So I'm the one that gets that third party perspective. I can ask the questions, pull stuff out, and we kind of shake it around. We're like, I pulled this out of you. What do you think of this? And then you know if it's right. You're like, oh, yep, that's it. And we just start this process of uncovering all of this gold, all of this genius and gems, and we ideate together. We start forming these taglines. We start forming the mission, the vision, the unique value proposition, your brand story. We start forming all these things, and we get them into this manifesto. And that's the first step, that, just getting things on paper, defined, sounds right. Now, the brand manifesto is not written in stone. It's still a living document. So it could still be changed by you later on. It could still be adjusted, but it's at least a starting point for everything you do. So every time you're going to do a marketing campaign, every time you're going to give a presentation or a speech or a networking event, you're grounded. You already know that core message, and you can articulate that. So that's the starting point. That's where we got to begin. And it's a very intimate process. It's a very vulnerable process. So I keep a very safe space. I don't judge whatever it is that's inside of you that you want to do, the truth. I'm not here to like judge you on and say, don't do that, or that sounds silly, or it's a very safe space, but we got to get it out. We have to get it to the surface so that we can do something with it. And that's how the journey begins. And then it gets into the copywriting and articulating, and how do we do a nice, well-received presentation, signature talk? How do we get this into your website? How do we get you out there networking properly? All those soft assets, so to speak. And then it goes into the service itself, building the business after that.
Josh, like, do you have any course on particular identity or colleges? Like, you need to, if I need to know more some about yourself and everything.
I don't do classes, group classes, because everything I do is very personal, one-on-one, concierge. But on my website, I do describe everything I was just talking about in detail. I pretty much put it all up there, so it's very clear what the deliverables are. I do on social media, I do videos. In fact, I just recorded one just before we got on. I recorded a video about, you know that there's a rule in English called I before E except after C. And the rule is bullcrap. It's completely wrong. But I applied it to marketing, where they say you should inform people before you make them emotional. You want to give information and educate before you get people emotional to take action. And I say, nope, it's backwards. So I do stuff like that. I do videos. I share as much information as I can. I do presentations. I will present in front of any audience and share information and give good stuff. And I do some webinars. But as far as coursework, I got a few things, but I don't really focus on that right now.
The final thing I wanted to ask you, Josh, like if any one of our viewers or anyone who's interested, how do they contact you? How to reach you?
Yeah, the easiest way is my website, joshzeppes.com, JoshZeppes.com, or on social media, easy to get a hold of me at Josh Zeppes. And that's probably the best way right now.
All right. So that's been a wonderful journey, and it's a great to meet you and learn more about you and your journey of identity archaeologist. Thank you so much, Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you too. I love what you guys are doing also. Keep your mission going. Keep helping people stop the crap they're doing, take a pause, breathe, listen, and then take action. And that's so important. So I love what you guys are doing, and I'm so happy to support in any way I can.